Okay. The great convergence has absolutely begun. You know what day it is, Wednesday, January 25th. And from all over, people converge on Dallas, Texas.
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know
Is that good enough for you?
There you go. The difference between Dallas, Texas, and Vegas is I was getting texts last week. It was like, where are you staying? Where are you staying? Everyone was like, I thought we got to find an Airbnb. There's no hotels.
I don't even know. Right.
I was trying to get a hotel in Fort Worth, and they don't have.
It's a great point. Vegas is just easy to understand, right?
Right.
Everything's right there, and you just say the name of the place, and everyone knows basically how to get to you.
Exactly.
I know. Well, Dallas is going to be first. It's the first for NADA in Dallas. You know, we've been to Dallas a couple of times. I've never really spent much time. We just say
this, like, we haven't mentioned this since we announced this way back in whenever August when they first sent the email, but there's not been enough talk about armadillo racing.
We were probably the first ones to talk about it. Literally at the NADA party Thursday night, they say they're going to feature armadillo racing. So I don't know. You know us. We'll probably try to put a microphone in an armadillo's face and see if we can get it to talk. We will be there. We will be covering the show. We'll be covering the entirety of the NADA show starting tomorrow, Thursday morning. We have a whole live stream schedule. We're covering all the pre-show events. So the ATA event, Auto Team America, JD Power, Auto News Retail Forum. We're going to bring it all to you. If you're not going, which is most likely, only 30,000 people can go out of like 2 million. So our goal is that even though you can't go, you don't feel like you missed out. So go to ASOTUNADA.com, ASOTUNADA.com. You're going to see our whole production schedule. With lots of live streams planned, lots of content planned, or just follow on our socials as well, because a lot of the stories and the impromptu content is going to be like what it really looks like, sounds like, feels like
being there
on the floor. We have an NADA, like I would say, longtime alum on the show today. The one and only Todd Caputo. Let's bring Todd in. Lord knows he's probably driving to Dallas right now because he'll just do whatever it takes.
I'm not going to drive. I'm definitely going to fly.
So
but
Todd
I would drive if I had to.
Longtime dealer, second generation dealer, ended up being acquired by Sonic a few years ago. And now you are on your own doing some consulting and just, playing in the space, because once a car guy, always a car guy. How many NADAs have you been to? Do you know the count?
It's going to be like number 24 or 25, I think. I've been going forever. Forever.
Do you remember your first NADA?
I went with my dad, but it was a long, long, long time ago.
Do you remember
he didn't even want to go. I had to force him.
And
all
right,
go.
So for people that go to NADA, or for the dealers listening, they always want to know kind of like how the other dealers do NADA, because it's kind of like sensory overload. It's packed with every, industry partner you can imagine, trying to kind of sell you and close you on everything that they're doing. There's super sessions, there's, after parties, there's all this stuff. How did you like, what are your tips and kind of approach to NADA to pull the most value out of if you're speaking to a dealer?
It depends. Like if you're going with a team of people, which a lot of dealers do, they'll bring senior management, bring leadership. You want to have a specific schedule laid out for your people, what educational classes you want them to go to, what vendors you want them to see, what social events you want them to do. Also what OEM meetings, because the OEM meetings are typically every year at NADA as well. I guess the best piece of advice is have a set plan, whether it's you're going alone or you're bringing your people with you, where you're going to go, what you're going to see, who you're going to talk to, and what you really want to accomplish at the end of the day, because it's very easy to get distracted at NADA. You can be distracted in 2 seconds. You could walk down the floor, end up talking to 4 different vendors, and you look and the day's half gone. So go with a plan. If you want to see a specific vendor that you do business with for a particular reason, have a set time set up where you can go see them in the booth. Most of the vendors have different private areas set up where they'll go see their clients privately, maybe to review some things. And, I guess the most important thing for me, and probably for most dealers, especially this year, is your litmus test should be, does it sell cars, right? That's one of my mantras. Does it sell cars? DISC is what I'm looking at, is what I'm spending time with, is what I'm sending my people to have anything to do with me selling cars. NADA goes by really, really fast, right? And if it doesn't sell cars, personally, for me as a dealer, I didn't want anything to do with it at all. So does it sell cars?
Yeah. So what when you're looking at specifically this year, if you and I know that you're working with a lot of dealers through consulting right now, but as you're headed into NADA and thinking about the changes, the shifts in the market, the perceived shifts in the market that are coming in the next year, like what are you looking at? What are you encouraging dealers looking at? We had a kind of side conversation of getting back to the basics, and I think that's a lot of what the next year is going to look like. But from an engagement with content at NADA or from a vendor perspective, I know everybody's going to be unique, but what are some themes that you're encouraging dealers to kind of go in and get their hands around this year?
I would be talking to people at NADA that do mystery shops professionally, online, over the phone, and in person. I would be talking to people at NADA that do sales training for your people, not just your salespeople, but for your managers. I would be talking to people that do training for your service advisors. I would be talking to people that do training for your BDC, because this is the year about getting back to the basics. The grosses aren't going to come so fat. The deals are not going to come so easy. And there's a lot of people that probably work in people's car dealerships right now that just got into the business in the last year and a half, and they don't have a clue, right? They came in when they were basically learned how to take an order, right? Well, order taking's over with. The reality's coming. It's already hitting now, and it's going to continue as the year goes on. This is the year to get back to the basics. This is the year about training. It's not about fancy digital tools. It's not about fancy anything. This is a year about the basics. And your litmus test is, does it sell cars? Because if cars don't get sold, nothing happens in your stores.
There's
that's huge coming from you, especially like if people don't know you and they're listening to this, just like to level set, you've always been an innovator when it comes to technology and digital tools, very early adopter of Dealer Inspire, of Roadster, of online auctions, of things that are digital ecosystems, which enable streamline and efficiency within like both operations and customer experience. But for you to say, hey, look, you could go look at the hundreds of tools that are digital ecosystem type things this year at NADA and go, hey, look, that shouldn't be priority, that the opportunity lies in how you engage your people this 100%. Year. That's like, some people could say, oh yeah, training, good, need training, but specifically coming from your mouth, I think that's extremely poignant and such a level head heading into this year, into a conference like this.
Every dealer that I'm talking to and every dealer that I work with, that's their concern this year, right? Like, I have to get my people's mindset back onto the basics of the business that were there before COVID. And I got to teach the people, really teach them now that just got into the business during COVID, what this business is truly all about. It's a business of grinding. It's a business of prospecting. It's a business of knowing how to talk to people, having relationships with your customers that are new, keeping relationships with customers from the past, knowing your product, knowing how to do a walk around, knowing how to do a test drive, knowing how to answer the telephone, how to answer a lead properly. All the basics are extremely
things.
Important. Just
a couple of things. Right? Let's zoom the lens out for a second. So that was speaking specifically to dealers and their personnel. A lot of the people in the audience, also industry partners or some just frontline workers that are not, making management decisions yet. But if they're listening to this and paying attention to, they probably will be soon. You have a hat on, and it's been a phrase that you've been championing: fear mediocrity. Yeah, hold it up to the camera.
Fear mediocrity.
Fear, mediocrity. Yes. I said C. What would you say to like that kind of wraps around like even industry partners or people that have maybe been on the front lines and now things are changing a little bit? What does that mean, and why is it so important for the entirety of the industry?
We know what mediocre means, right? Mediocre means average. Everybody in this industry, dealers, some vendors, but really dealers, they've been able to be average for the last year and a half or 2 years and still be able to make above average profits. Those days are over. If you feel like there's any people or process or any part of your organization that is mediocre, you need to fear it. You need to fear it completely, because you're going to have average or below average results by middle of the year. I can pretty much guarantee it. You might already be seeing it now. It's coming. It is definitely coming. So mediocrity is to be feared. And that's one morning I woke up, I was drinking some coffee, and the word mediocre popped into my head, and I came up with this. And Paul, I hired your ad agency to do a whole little T-shirts, hats. It's part of what I do now, right?
It's part of you.
It's part of me.
It's a part of you. There's
Don't let me be mediocre.
nothing more Todd Caputo than that. You don't do anything halfway.
No,
Not at all.
no, not at all. So I'll
Love
be
it.
at NADA. I can't wait. I'm excited, and there's going to be some great techie things there, right? Great digital things. Get a brochure. Focus on training. Training. I'm telling you, see who's going to train your people, how they're going to train your people, how much they're going to charge you for it. And it's not just a one-shot deal with training. Training needs to be done for long periods of time. Mystery shopping needs to be done immediately. Hire a mystery shopping company today or this week when you go to NADA. Get a company to mystery shop your business immediately. Find out where you're weak. Figure out who can fix the problems, fix the processes, train your people, and I'll guarantee you're going to be way better off.
Well, I don't know how else to end
on now.
this. Getting ready for the floor. Look, if you see this man, Todd Caputo, please say hi. I'm sure he'd love to talk with you. You have a lot of work to do, a lot of mediocrity to push aside, and a lot to learn.